Hi, welcome everyone. I'm Outhay Lovan with Let's UnWine, powered by VisiPay, here live at ETA TRANSACT in Las Vegas. Amanda, thanks for joining me for Let's UnWine podcast at TRANSACT. Yeah.
Hey, excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. And I actually appreciate all that you've done to get me to this point.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. Like, you just don't understand. Like, this looks great. Like, I think the setup is great. This is just another opportunity to build community, which I really love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you're a board member for the National Alliance of Financial Literacy and Inclusion.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about this organization.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about this. This is something we started last year, and we have a board of advisors, a set of groups, where our focus at NAFLE is all around financial inclusion, right? And if you think about our macroeconomic environment right now, you know, wealth management, financial empowerment is it's a really good time to have these types of conversations. And so what NAFLE does is we work with innovators, industry experts, financial institutions, and we try to come up with thought leadership around that. We create market research around that. And it's just really keeping our, you know, organizations accountable about making sure that they create products and services that, you know, focuses on financial inclusion.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome.
Love it.
Well, I know that you're actually going to be speaking on 2 separate sessions. Friday. One about finding your professional compass and charting a roadmap, which seems pretty cool. The question I have for you is specifically about the topic. Again, on Friday at the growth stage, right behind us here.
Okay.
The glass cliff.
Okay.
Opportunities or setups for failure.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a hot one.
It is.
And so my question for you is, what structurally and culturally changes can organizations implement to ensure people of color and women leaders are set up for long-term success rather than a position for failure?
Yeah.
And we see this happening a lot.
And, you know, interesting enough, I do think the topic is very controversial. And it's very controversial, especially within the times that we're in, right? Yeah. We see that organizations are doing a lot of restructuring, right? Yes. And sometimes restructuring comes with layoffs, or sometimes it comes with additional pressures for the individuals that actually end up staying at the job.
Yes.
And so our topic around Glass Cliff is, we're not necessarily talking about this, you know, glass cliff. The definition essentially is throwing a woman or a person of color within a role that requires crisis management.
Right.
But our conversation is more of identifying roles that may put you in that position, right? And so, you know, the question that you asked about structural improvements, one of my suggestions is for companies to really look at their succession planning, right? Yeah. Succession planning is really understanding your employees, where they are in their careers, and how you can best provide the resources to get them to where they need to go.
Exactly.
Right? And a lot of that will require a little tender love and care, where maybe we're, you know, creating some leadership programs that provides a mentor, a sponsor. Maybe it's training, leadership training development, right? It's another thing is identifying your 360 surveys, right? Surveying performance reviews and things like that. I think companies really need to tap into that, especially in this space where DE&I is being questioned.
Yes.
Come on, let's talk about it, right? And that's fine. If we don't want to tap into DE&I, it's fine, but we're gonna need to be intentional about our succession planning, right? Because we already know that women already have a lot of characteristics that make them very strong leaders, right? And so it's just making sure you leaders within the organizations identify their biases, right? By really being intentional about how they plan for their careers, their employees' careers in the future.
Right. Yeah. It's truly finding that right fit for that role. Exactly. And I always say that all the time. We've got to find that right fit for the role.
Yeah,
awesome.
Exactly.
I love your answer. Yeah. My next question for you So this is day 2.
Day 2.
Day 2. What have you taken away so far with what you've seen?
Ooh, it's so funny. Before I met with you, we just actually sat in on the Visa Economist meeting panel regarding our current environment, right? The discussions was all around, he mentioned the 3 T's. So Trump, tariffs, and taxes. It's so funny how he started the panel with a disclaimer saying, hey, this is the latest information that we had. Regardless, last night there were more changes on the tariffs.
Oh, wow.
And so, I think this is what everybody's thinking about, right? How is the payment industry adjusting to our current climate?
Yeah.
Right? With all these changes around tariffs, all these economic factors that are being considered, policy changes around regulations around payment structuring.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time to start having these conversations, and it was a pretty fascinating keynote.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, good. Dang it, I missed that one.
I know, darn it.
Just busy here.
I see. Unwinding.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hi, welcome, Deana.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining Let's UnWine podcast here live at Transact.
Very excited.
Yes. So I want to hear a little bit about your company. You're the CEO and founder, or I should say co-CEO and co-founder of Infinicept.
Infinicept.
Oh, I almost got it.
Would you have it the first time? I love it. Sure. So Infinicept, I've been in the consulting space since 2004, and I partnered out with Telesales in about 2011. Did a lot of data facilitator consulting. One of the things we learned that every facilitator needed the same backbone to be able to be a data facilitator. They needed to underwrite, they needed to report to their processor, they then needed files down, they needed to be able to assign fees and dues and assessments to those funds. Also needed to hold them if they were risky. They needed to review them. Every single thing also needed that. So we built that. Very up to that. And later on, and we have a real strong consulting arm where we help licensed banks, governments, anybody understanding.
Oh, that's great. Good to know. Great. Well, I want to ask you a question specifically about the session that you need to be at. I know you're on the docket for 2 sessions. One specifically on Friday, a new blueprint for championing women in the workforce for a better business outcome. My question for you specifically is actually the topic on Friday. Here at the Tech Stage, up and downs of embedded payments regulatory seesaw, because that could be wild, right?
It is a wild ride. It's Mr. Toad's wild ride from Disneyland all the way.
Yes. So here's a high level.
Absolutely. So what we're seeing right now is not quite shuttered, but certainly remote. FTC, they've taken out 2 of the directors. So they're changing the focus of the federal regulators. What you see are the state regulators coming up, and the state regulators are becoming very specific about consumer protection, party protection, and all business protection. And they are putting in regulations that think about surcharging and all of the things going on around that. States want to protect their consumers. So now we have 50 different types of regulations. And all of that, the federal government's backing out. It's harmful or perfect for us, because now, as a payments company, you have to follow these different regulations.
Yes. Which is why I see it's titled seesaw.
And you've got like FCC codes for guns. You have some states who use that FCC. Other states will require that FCC usage. So to be a processor, will they forgive it? Do they not? Are they okay with it? Are they silent on it? Is there going to be a class action because they were silent on it? It's the ups and downs.
Exactly. Well, my question for you, how can fintech and payment providers proactively navigate the shifting regulatory landscape while maintaining compliance and innovation?
So maintaining all of that is easy until you say end innovation, and that's where the tricky part comes in. So what you have to have is your strategy and your product people. You have to bring the clients up with them and make sure as they're building and founding products that they understand the market segments to play in, where they're going to specialize, the states that they're going to concentrate. And they can talk about clients as they're building the product. It's not just about solving the problem, but it's about saying,
being innovative at the same time.
well, that's what the product and strategy can do, right? They see the big picture and they know there's a problem there. I need to solve that. I have an innovation. If they just solve it, they'll have this whole, well, I'll call it underbelly.
Yeah.
Like,
I love it. I love the answer. My next question for you. What's your go-to prediction for the future of digital payments?
well, I have a bet with somebody who said cash will disappear in 10 years.
Oh my goodness.
And this bet was about 7 years ago. So I'm about to win it, which is dinner anywhere in the world. Because cash will everything. Digital payments, we're going to innovate, we're going to grow. The more things will be digital, the new generation loves it way more than the older generation. I still have cash in my pocket, so if I need to tip, I can tip. We still have places where we don't innovate enough, but we'll be more digital.
I agree. Okay. Still would be there.
Hey, Laura.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. Let's UnWine podcast here live at Transact 2025.
Yes.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate you.
Oh, excited to be here.
Yes. So, Executive Director, Georgia Fintech Academy. Do you want to give a shout out?
Yes. Georgia Fintech Academy, talent development. If any of our young professionals are out there listening, I hope you take in this content because this is the most relevant, up-to-date news from the industry, as well as some of the things and current trends we're talking about on this platform. So I really appreciate you including me, and I love seeing this evolve with UnWine. So just happy to be here and share some of the things that we're doing.
Thank you, girl. Okay, so I want to talk specifically about your session. Your topic is on Friday here at the Growth Stage, which is right behind us here. And the topic is the glass cliff. Opportunities or setup for failure. So this is a hot topic, and it's been a hot topic for some time now. So I'm going to have you give us a high level of what this session is about, and then I'm going to go into my question for you.
Yeah, perfect. The glass cliff is something that many individuals face at different stages in their career, but I think in particularly looking at how it affects women in this industry, there's been a lot of opportunities where people have those pressure cooker moments where they get to differentiate themselves, set themselves apart from their peers, and really succeed, and on the other side get promotions, exposure, etc. The glass cliff is a conversation where we're really tackling some of those tactics head on. What are the things that women need to address to set themselves up for success long term? And I think it's unfortunately not written down in a playbook. And so having these conversations are extremely influential. It provides guidance. It provides maybe that light bulb, idea in their head of, here are some things I can really do to help set myself up for success. And I think personally, I didn't necessarily have that in my career journey. I didn't have women speaking about these things in such a direct way. And so being able to provide that at this particular platform that ETA TRANSACT offers with such a diverse community of leaders in this space is where we'll really help move the needle in the direction where we're influencing companies and how they support their employees. But then on the other side, empowering women and other diverse segments to speak up for themselves and to really advocate for what they need.
Exactly. And that's why we're here. I mean, this is a platform for us that haven't had a voice, and advocates that are here listening in. I mean, that's what this is about. Is to give that opportunity. Like, hey, we're here. We're not going away. And so we want to do something about it.
And that's what your platform really does, is being able to provide a very digestible kind of format too, but having access to it digitally, having those conversations in person. All of these are relevant assets. I think that only strengthens the community as a whole, the industry as a whole.
So my question for you, if I think about an opportunity. Anybody could be in this situation, right? And maybe at a moment of time myself, right?
Yeah.
So I've been promoted to this job, high level role. I'm saying hypothetically. And then I realize, oh shit, right?
Yeah.
So a mix of emotions. I'm excited because I just got promoted. I'm celebrating this promotion. At the same time, I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, so I think, how can we recognize and address the warning signs of a glass cliff while still celebrating a promotion and advocating for ourselves and others in these high stake roles?
Yeah. I think you could break it down into like 3 different segments. I think first is the recognition period. The second would be kind of like that acceptance. And the third, really, I'm adding, as I'm thinking through this question, is really like a rationalization and strategy. Yeah. So, once you have gone into the position, there's almost this assessment period where you're really trying to evaluate to what extent is that, S word moment. You know what I mean? Because I've been there before. Sometimes, you'll get in an opportunity. It could be a project. It could be a whole role where you don't really know what the reality is on the other side. People tend to, sell the best angles when they're convincing you to take that project on or to work within this new space. And so there's some newness and unfamiliarity. And to address that head on, you have to kind of interview, have conversations with stakeholders, with peers, with partners, with, folks who are leadership levels, just to understand and evaluate the state of that, area and that space. So you could really, start thinking about how to block and tackle.
Yeah.
For me, I've been in a space where I've gotten promoted, and the prior 2 people in that role literally quit working for the company because of that environment, maybe a cultural issue.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't have the right resources or the funding to really achieve delivering on a project. So having those conversations and then trying to think about how you proceed, building those relationships. Dressing it through a relationship building, making sure you have people that can advocate for you in rooms where you're not present. On my behalf, I've had project status updates where, we present to governance, but then CIO level conversations are happening in closed doors around that same initiative. So I have to tell people constantly what the work we're doing, where our challenges are, what the risks are, so that they can help provide support when needed. Then lastly, it's like making those demands clear. I've asked for adjustments to my compensation. I now know more than I knew when I took this on.
Yeah.
And now I know that the requirements are X times 50% more, then we should have a conversation about compensation. Or we should have conversations around what support I need to be successful in this role. Is it additional headcount? Is it, offshore, onshore resources? Is it, extra meetings and time with executive leadership? These are things that I think people need to negotiate for themselves once they're in that position of that glass cliff, because I think at the end of the day, we're in it for the same reasons. We want to achieve whatever business objectives there are in the end. And how, why not have the conversation realistically about how do we support that particular person in this role or function? Right.
Exactly. I love that. That's a great answer for sure. Yeah. You have a stage of emotions, right? When you think of emotions, think about it that in different like milestones.
Yeah.
And a lot of reflection around it as well.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And that reflection, I think, it allows you to kind of also recalibrate and as you learn, it's a learning journey for everyone. And for most people, projects or roles aren't like for like. And so you're always constantly learning. And so some of the things that you think might have, worked and some of the tactics you might have taken might need to be refined or adjusted based off of your experience. And so having that reflection time and giving yourself the grace, I think, to have some, crucial conversations, I call it, and some uncomfortable ones, but know that, we're all, hopefully working as a team, and that you're keeping your eyes on the prize as far as the goal and insight.
Well, great. Thank you. That is a great question and answer for sure. And I love the topic. So my last question for you, what's one trend in fintech payments that excites you most?
Yeah. I selfishly, as a plug for the Georgia Fintech Academy, we're a talent development initiative across 26 institutions offering fintech education and really giving students exposure to the diverse fintech pathways in the industry. I didn't have that when I was in college. I fell into this industry, as many people that I encounter here at this conference.
Yeah.
I think one of the exciting trends for me is that there are people seeking out fintech education. Fintech is now, I don't want to say it's a household name, but it's now more familiar than it was back in the day. I've been asked often if fintech is aquatic technology, the fin in fintech being a fish. And I'm like, no, it's finance and technology, bring together. And I think now that we're having just a boom and a surge in the industry, we're seeing students that are coming into the university system seeking out fintech education. We're also seeing, professionals. We're all, ongoing students learning, seeking out resources like this, platform and other, platforms to refine our skills and to educate ourselves, for our own professional development. We're seeing that in the FinTech Academy. It's really exciting to see that.
That's cool.
And then how that transforms from the industry perspective is their ability to influence academia and what we're actually instructing and teaching our students. So it's been reciprocated, I think, in the way that academia is now, providing that investment into the industry, investing in the growth of talent development. And on the industry side, they're also investing in the evolution of academia from a fintech perspective.
Well, I think talent development doesn't stop, right? From when you think of schooling all the way into the workforce.
Yes.
It's continuous. It doesn't stop. Journey. It's always, you always want to grow. You always have to learn. There's always something new. Yeah. Otherwise, you just stay stagnant.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, thank you. I appreciate you for joining me this afternoon. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hi, Deirdre. Thanks for joining me today for Let's UnWine podcast here live at TRANSACT 2025. How are you?
I'm great.
Yes.
Really happy to be here.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you joining the conversation. So let's talk a little bit about you. SVP, Special Advisor for Visa. So do you want to give a shout out to anyone or talk a little bit about what you do?
Sure. So shout out to all my colleagues at Visa, and it's in particular my colleagues in North America. And so right now I'm focused on a number of things. One in particular is BIN sponsorship, which is a really important thing for many of the companies that are here at TRANSACT. And the other thing is alternative licensing, because Visa has we have some restrictions or requirements on who can become a client directly. And so we're working on ways to expand that.
Okay, nice. So I have a question for you, and it's regarding your session on Friday at the Growth Stage right behind us here. You're talking about a topic titled Myth Busting Career Limited Stories We Tell Ourselves. And when I saw this and I saw like the description of what this session was about, I was like, wow, I love this. So give us a high-level overview of what the session is about.
Sure. So we're really going to talk about the things we tell ourselves that may come from our own personal experience or could be like societal structure that limits our path to growth in professionally and even sometimes personally. And I think it's a really important topic because as I look back on my career, I've had times where all of a sudden I'm like, why did I think that? And it was like, oh, it's a story I told myself. And then I'm able to change and do different things. And so it's a great group of really incredible women who have experienced same types of myths. And so we're going to hopefully share some wisdom so we can help other people.
Yeah. Well, my question for you, what are some of the most common career limiting myths professionals believe, and what practical steps can we take to reframe these narratives for growth and success?
So I think a common one for women in particular is that you have to check every box.
Yeah.
And that's actually not true.
Yeah.
That you're more than the sum of what you've done before. In fact, you learn from all those experiences that set you up on that next learning journey or that next part of your professional journey. And I think it's really spending time thinking about, why do I think that way? Why do I feel like I have to tick every box.
Yes.
And then start to change your own mindset. So I think that's one in particular. And then I think you'll hear from some of my fellow panelists that, you kind of have to stay in one place when you start a family.
Yeah.
And that career growth is going to stall for a while, and that's not necessarily true as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're controlling your own journey, and I think it starts from childhood.
Yep.
I'm speaking of myself on behalf of myself. Like as a little girl, I knew I wanted to do these. So these things needed to happen and needed to happen in this order. So I was checking the boxes, right? I want to get married. I want to have a house. I want to have kids. I throw in my professional career in there. So I think it's just something that stems from childhood and it goes and follows us along our journey. And we forget, like, now times are changing. We women are changing in the way that we think. There's no boxes to check anymore.
That's right.
And, who says that you have to follow, that path of I got to get married, then I have kids. Some of us are having kids before getting married, or some of us are thinking about our careers before doing all those two things.
That's right.
So I love this topic. And I think it's going to hit home for many, many individuals.
Yeah.
My last question for you. What's the most surprising thing you've seen happen in this industry?
So I don't know. Well, when people say surprising, or maybe the question you're asking me like a good thing, I don't know if it's surprising, but the regulatory environment is having like a huge impact. And things that are sometimes like difficult actually can create opportunities as well as put up barriers and make things more complicated. And so for me, it's the acceleration of the regulatory changes for me has been quite surprising, because very often you think that regulations move more slowly.
Right. And it's happening now. It seems like it's happening really fast.
Really fast, and in so many different ways, at the federal level, at the state level, at the municipal level. And that to me is really interesting, because you have to figure out how do we manage this and keep the industry growing.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for participating. I appreciate you. Thank you. I think, again, the things that you have to say with regarding the topic that you're going to be speaking about, again, it hits home for so many people. So I appreciate you being on this platform.
It was my pleasure.
Let's cheers.
Cheers.
Hi, Kim. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, the Let's UnWine podcast booth here at Transact.
It looks amazing. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And so let me kind of do a little bio. You are, correct me if I'm wrong, VP, Head of Telesales and Strategic Partnership.
That is correct.
Right? So you want to give a shout out to anybody?
Well, I'd have to give a shout out to my entire team. I love you guys. Hopefully the fort isn't burning down with me being here at ETA, but amazing team. I always say this in the industry, payments can be monotonous. It can be the same thing, but my team is amazing. I've had the same people on my team for almost over a decade now. So it is, when I tell you it's a family, like we have the most off the chain team meetings and we can say what we want and we're in a safe environment. And
That's how it should be.
My team's amazing.
That speaks a lot for your leadership.
It's a really cool team. I always say, like, if someone joins our team meeting, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're colorful, be aware. If someone says something, swears, anything, my apologies, but that's who we are. So it's a cool team. It's a cool team.
I love it. Yeah. That's awesome. And this is exactly what the platform is for. Yeah. For us to be our authentic self. To be real and candid about, whatever's on our mind.
Wine, so cheers.
With wine,
this is amazing.
Cheers. Yes. So that brings me to my next question. Yeah. So you and I
know,
are going to be speaking tomorrow morning right behind us at the growth stage. And our topic is a new blueprint for championing women in the workforce for better business outcome.
Yeah.
So why don't you give us a high level of what this session is about?
For me, the session is about educating everyone within payments about women and the power behind promoting women and making sure that they are seen and they are heard. I think a lot of times in payments, and we talked about this, is that there's a lot of great women right beneath the layer that are doing a lot of the work that are just not seen, and they're not seen because there's not enough people promoting them and bringing awareness to the strength of what they are doing. Right. I always say it's, if you're looking at who's leading the relationship teams, sometimes the sales teams, it's these strong women that have been in the industry for, I've been in the industry 24 years, and I always joke, if I had balls, I'd probably be higher up in the organization.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know if I could say that on the podcast.
Oh, do it.
Oh, okay.
Do it.
Yeah, so if I had some big balls, I'd totally be farther off in my career. And I think that's what this is about, is just making sure that people are aware it's not just being a cheerleader for someone, but it's putting action behind that. And I feel like that's going to be a part of the topic tomorrow of really making sure we're having our women seen. Even from my side, I realize sometimes I'm not doing enough action for the women on my team, and making sure that I'm putting action, that they're seen, they're heard, and that I'm not just saying, oh my gosh, way to go, Bethany. It's like, no, I'm giving Bethany the opportunity to go to the show, to speak, to put her face and her voice out there.
I love that you say that, and you call out your team specifically, because there's something about female leaders, and I think with female leaders, we hold other females on our team strongly accountable for their actions.
So accountable.
With male leaders, sometimes they tiptoe around questions or tasks, and we go straight to the point.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's what makes us different, is like, okay, 100%. You know what, girl, you're not fooling me. Let's just get down to the basics. Like, we need to talk.
Yeah.
And we need to have that conversation, so that way I can hold you accountable, you hold me accountable.
Yeah.
It's
so funny. I do that so much with my team. We'll have a team meeting, and you ask your team, any problems, what's going on today? And everyone's dead silent. So when everyone's dead silent, I'm like, guys, I'm not trying to shoot the shit with you today. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Are you happy with me? Are you happy with leadership? Are you good? Do you like your job? Like, talk to me, because I don't know what you're thinking, and I can't read your minds. And the same thing when you do something wrong. Like, I am the boss you can go to. I will listen to your problems. I'll be your therapist. I will be your cheerleader. I'll support you. But at the same time, I'm calling you out if something isn't done right. And I'm going to say I'm disappointed. And I wish I had leaders, because once again, and I loved all my male leaders. I always had my cheerleaders, but they would never tell me, like, if I did something wrong or if I did something right. Yeah. So I kind of just walk through business like, do they like me? Do they not like me? Because I never had direct criticism to be like, hey, Kim, this is, you're doing this really well, but this you could have improved on. I never got that. And I almost wanted it, because sometimes I still feel in my career that I'm walking around like, ooh, did I make it here the right way? Or there are people that like me or dislike me? Like, what? Like, what did I do?
Exactly.
Like, did I make the right steps? And I think that's really important, and we have to continue doing that with our teams. Like, tell them what they're doing right, wrong. Exactly. And that's male or female. Just communicate.
Don't tiptoe.
Don't tiptoe.
Yeah.
At all.
Let me hear it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
There you go.
Exactly.
What's going on?
Well, our conversation tomorrow is going to be a great one. I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be a fun panel.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you specifically, since I won't be the one asking the question tomorrow.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
So my question is, what tangible steps can organizations take to move beyond performative DEI efforts and create real opportunities for women to thrive?
Wow. That's a big question. We've talked about this a little bit, but I think first and foremost is making sure when you're doing from a recruiting standpoint that you take the initiative to look at every single resume, no matter background, where they're from, and actually take the time to sit down with them. I think there's too much nowadays where resumes are kind of spit through a system and they're not looked at. I always say too, when it comes to payments, I've been in payments for a very long time, but I went to a fashion school. So I'm sure on a resume, they're like, oh, what does this chick that went to fashion school know about payments? Like, you can't just look at a piece of paper and determine what you think the outcome is going to be. And sometimes I think that's what people do.
Yeah.
So step number one is let's analyze everything that's coming in, even the ones that you're like, I don't know if they're going to, make the fit, do the interview process. Then I also think when it comes to promoting, you always want to promote the right person. It doesn't have to be just, bringing up the window. You want the right person for the job. But I think sometimes it's very cliquey in organizations, especially smaller companies, to where it's like, oh, well, so-and-so's just going to get it. I would remove that piece and let everyone apply, because sometimes I feel like there are certain people, male or female, of all colors, creed, that are going to be a better fit if you open the opportunity up for them to come to it.
Right.
And I think that's one thing we've really started in our organization, is making sure that there's an interview process that has opportunities for everyone to apply, and that way you can flush everything out.
Right.
I also think too, it comes to our events and how we promote the company internally, making sure that you are taking the time to meet everyone in your organization, understand what they do, because there could be an amazing person in another channel that you don't even know could be a great fit. So take the time, have mixers, I schedule dinners sometimes just to meet people.
Yeah.
I'm new to the Jersey office for Fiserv, so saying, hey, let's go out to dinner, let's have drinks, and getting to know people, so that way when an opportunity comes, you sat down with so-and-so and you can promote them into that spot. So it's not just one, I'd say, big initiatives. It's all these little steps within the organization that can make it happen.
Yeah, and it starts from the very beginning when you talk about the acquisition of a talent, all the way through their life cycle.
Yeah, and from where how I got into the Fiserv ecosystem, it was from a series of acquisitions. And one of my mentors always said, when you take over a team, you never pillage the town, because so many people just want to keep their internal team, their guys, their girls. They don't want to open up their team because they think something bad's going to happen. No, actually having a diverse team with lots of opinions, a lot of backgrounds, makes it a stronger team.
Yeah.
I love my team, because that's what I feel it's made of all these, we have, you have the Ivy Leagues, you have, the guys that have been in sales for the last 30 years and maybe don't have the education behind them, but it all makes for this amazing team because not one person paints a perfect picture to make an engine work. It's everyone.
And you're balancing strengths.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Well, thank you. That's a great answer. My next question, we're going to make this a fun one.
Ooh, okay.
So, by far, hands down, I won't say anything.
Okay.
Who has the most interactive booth?
100% this one.
Oh, yeah.
Are you kidding me? Literally, I love it because everyone will come and watch what's going on here. This is too really fun on the floor. ETA is a hard show because there's a lot of things going on. It's a lot of things to get attention, but when you do it in this setting and this fun setting, and you have wine, who wouldn't love this? I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Heck yes. Okay, let's cheers to that.
Cheers, Outhay.
So, Managing Director at EY Financial Service Consulting. Do you want to give a shout out to anybody out there or talk a little bit about what you're doing?
Yeah. So big shout out to the payments practice. We're about 100 people, both from industry and grew up in consulting. And basically we work with all stakeholders in the payments ecosystem, from banks to payment networks to fintechs, even merchants. The only stakeholders we don't really work with are consumers, because I think that would be probably a little freaky for them.
Exactly. So I have a question for you. And actually, you're speaking, or you are speaking at two separate sessions, moderating one specifically. So the one that I have a question for, we're going to come back to that. But the one on Friday, that topic is Career Champions, how sponsors, advocate, and mentors propel your professional journey.
Yes.
Great topic. But my question for you is specifically regarding the session that you did earlier today here behind us at the growth stage. Payments, the Eras Tour, and I got my little friendship bracelet. Hey. So my question for you, with the rapid evolution of payments, what key trends should business prioritize to stay competitive?
So that's actually a very great question. I would probably answer it in two different ways.
Yeah.
I think structurally, having a modern payments platform or platforms, that modern architecture where you've isolated different functions into microservices that you can then surface for different applications.
Yes.
On one hand, it helps to keep down the redundancy. You're doing something once, but it also gets at my second point, which is around customer experience. Because if I have a process or a function that's critical to payments and it's being used in multiple applications, then you're going to get to more of a consistent experience. And the second thing really is customer experience, right? Obviously, the customer is why.
Yeah.
And really, I think over the last decade or more, I think customers' expectations have really risen, and with the onslaught of more digital payments, I think there's this sense of immediacy, and I want what I want when I want it.
Yes. It's a new generation, right? It's a new era, it's a new generation. So that's where we have to modify and change with the times.
Yes, but what was interesting is in the panel when we talked about like the future of payments, one of the panelists made a great point about, but realize the rails and everything behind it is pretty much the same, right? Maybe we've got one new rail with, faster payments, RTP, FedNow, right? But all the other rails, ACH, credit cards, debit cards, that's been in existence for some time. But I think, what you do with it really has evolved.
Yeah, that's a great answer. My last question for you. If you can solve one major challenge in the industry, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, what a great question. Another great question. It would be really great if we could come up with a way, what I call frictionless compliance. Meaning, if the choices that you were given were always in compliance with either regulations or payment network rules, it would really simplify that process. I mean, on the flip side, consultants make a lot of money advising and helping with risk and compliance, but I think, solving that, and probably fraud, if you added in fraud with that, but I think that would really help us to really focus on maybe more just the innovation side. And go a little faster.
Yeah, great. Well, hey, thank you so much for participating in our podcast. I appreciate you. Let's cheers to this.
Yes.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks.
Hi, Nicole. Thanks for joining us for Let's UnWine podcast here live at Transact.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
This is awesome. So, founder, CEO of Zelcoin and Partners.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Female.
Boss. Business. Yes, exactly.
So, give a shout out to anybody or tell us a little bit more about your company.
Yeah, so our company is a very small professional services boutique consulting company. So we are helping payments and financial services to really think about how they can stand out with their brand amongst the sea of competition that they face. And, the competition grows every year and becomes fiercer and fiercer. So what is the brand message that they have to put out to really stand out? What's their go-to-market strategy of making sure that they are really edging that competitive advantage? And how are they acquiring more customers, finding the right customers, and retaining the ones that they have in such a competitive environment? So that's what our company do. We have a background in financial services, working for Fortune 500 companies in the business.
Awesome.
And shout out to my team at Zelcoin and Partners, Björn, Gemma, Joshua, and Laura. So
that's awesome. Cool. So you are actually speaking on a topic on Friday, tomorrow, and the title is Finding Your Professional Compass, Charting a Roadmap to Career Success. And I actually just told you this. I'm a little bummed I'm going to be missing it live. So my question for you.
Yes.
Before we get to this, tell us a little bit high level of what this session is about.
So what my co-presenters and I, Amanda and Rebecca, decided was that still today women face the glass ceiling in the financial services and payments industry. Many, especially in the early stages of their career, have a hard time really figuring out how to navigate it. So that's where the title of Finding Your Professional Compass came from. We really want, in this workshop style luncheon, help them to understand, how your career trajectory is something that you have fully in your control. You can actually really manage your career development, but you need to understand a little bit what tools are available to you. Exactly. So one tool is the career path visualization. So where are you coming from in your career and where do you want to go? Right. Are you having a big North Star idea? Do you want to continue a corporate career? Do you want to become an entrepreneur at one point in time? What does that take? How does that look like? And then we break it down. So if you understand where you want to go, then we help you understand what are the strengths and the opportunities from your skill set perspective. Where are you having gaps in your skill set? Where do you need to focus to really understand how you close those skill set gaps? And then we are talking also about the roadblocks that you might have faced already or that you potentially might face over your career at one point or the other as a woman in the industry, and how can we help you navigate that and find different strategies to address them.
I love that, because it doesn't matter where you are in your journey of your career, from early stages to even a senior level stage.
Yes.
You still have barriers, there's still hurdles. So I love that there's a session around that.
Yeah, and we hope that everyone takes a lot of value out of these type of discussions and this interactive workshop, and is better prepared to actually go back into their day-to-day.
Yeah, take action.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So my question for you, what are the most effective ways to identify and close the skill gaps while staying adaptable, especially with these career challenges that are happening?
Yeah, so I think one of the key learnings in my career, not only from my personal career path, but also from managing teams around the globe, is really to first and foremost be aware where your skills gaps are, because often we are just jumping into a job and we are very busy rolling up the sleeves, getting into it and doing what we need to do. But it's really important to take a step back and understand really where am I going, and then what additional skills do I need. And I'm a big fan of that learning never ends,
I agree.
It's a lifelong learning. And with that understanding, I think you're opening already many more doors for yourself in terms of how you address those. And so that's definitely one element. And the other element is then understanding better who can help you closing your skill set. Sometimes it's not the technicality of doing another certification or another course. Sometimes it's understanding, well, I need a bigger network. I need a mentor. I need a coach. Whatever that next tool is that could be helpful for you. And identifying that is the other area that I think we will pay attention to tomorrow in that workshop.
Sounds fun. And I like that you mentioned networking, because that's my next question for you.
Yes.
Networking is a big part of growing your community.
Yes.
So give a shout out to some of the people you've met here at Transact.
Which is fabulous, So I have met actually all the women that I usually meet at these type of payments and financial services conferences, which is wonderful. So Amanda, Rebecca, who I will share the stage with tomorrow, and I'm still having quite a list of women that I meet tonight at the happy hour and at a dinner.
Yes.
So I'm super excited for that. So, it is, hard to call out one or two.
Exactly.
It's a sea of new contacts that I'm trying to make. And so it's wonderful.
Well, it's great because, when you think about it, right, you're connected to so many people on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And now you're connecting the dots. You're putting, what you see on LinkedIn, their name and their photo, to now seeing them live.
Yeah, and meeting you the first time, which is exciting.
Yes.
And, reconnecting with Linda, who put so much effort and passion into empower her for the TRANSACT conference. And so, it's just wonderful to see how women support women. That is what warms my heart.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you so much for participating.
Of course,
Let's
and thank
cheers
you.
to this.
Yes, and thank you for having me.
Of course.
Cheers to you.
Hi, Rebecca. Thanks for joining us for the Let's UnWine podcast here live at ETA 2025 Transact
Thank you for
Show.
having me.
Yes. So, head of strategic partnership and marketing operations at Corvia.
Correct.
All right. So, tell me a little bit about what you're doing there. You want to give a shout out to some people?
Sure. So I will first give a shout out to my CEO, Carlos Navarro, who took a chance on me as a fractional CMO January of 24. We had an awesome year.
Yeah.
Did great work together. And when he asked me to come on full time, it was an easy decision.
Oh, good for you.
Thank
love
you.
that. I love that.
Thank you.
So your session tomorrow, you're going to be talking about a topic, finding your professional compass, charting a roadmap for career success. Tell us at a high level, what is this session about?
So this is not our parents' generation, right? Having one place of employment and the cliche gold watch at retirement, that's dead. It's been dead for a long time. So not only for those of us that are in the workforce, but the babies we're raising, it's a different time. And so the session is focused on not what do you do when the other shoe drops, but it's proactively architecting as the industry changes, as you're made redundant, right? It happens. As the market shifts, as your professional interests change, how can you have agency and ownership so that you're not drifting should, let's say, an involuntary sabbatical comes, which I experienced within the last 18 months. And, shout out to Nicole, Zimmerman, co-founder of Zelcoin. This is really her playbook. And for those who attend, she does 6 to 12 month sessions on this. And so we have broken down the fundamentals. They're actionable. They're realistic. It's going to be a really high value session that anyone who attends and is engaged, there's a little bit of homework. They'll be able to apply it in their career this year.
I love it. Yeah, and I had spoken to Nicole earlier too. So I'm sad I'm missing this, because it seems so cool to be part of something like that and having a workshop around it.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question for you on this topic: how can individuals create a flexible yet strategic roadmap that adapts to changing goals and industry shifts, right? It happens all the time, right? What my goal was when I was younger is completely different from what my goal is now.
Absolutely.
Never thought I'd be part of this industry, but I landed here and I love it, going on 4 years. So again, what are your thoughts around that?
I think you model this. The first I would say is cultivate curiosity.
Yeah.
It's human nature, and I think we have to actively fight the comfort of what is routine. Like, you build muscle memory at a job, and you're good. We all know that growth is uncomfortable and unnatural, but cultivate intellectual curiosity.
Yeah.
And then I think the other is allow, whether you're an extrovert, I happen to be an introvert, create quiet space in your personal life where you can listen to, how are my priorities changing? To your point, like, what motivated you in your ambitions in your 20s versus your 30s, 40s, whether you're married or not, have children or not, caring for aging parents, all these things, right, that are part of life. If you're a taskmaster of your days and you're not creating time just kind of to get in touch with your soul, and I know that sounds a little bit, I don't know, granola, but
I mean, it's self-reflection.
You have to have time for self-reflection.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going to float and you're kind of going to be in reaction mode. And who wants that for their career?
Right. And it's okay. It's okay to take that time and think about yourself.
Yeah.
And take that moment to self-reflect. Is this where I want to be? Is this what I want to do? What does this look like for me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. I love that. So my last question for you, and I know that you have spoken to a lot of people, collaborated with a lot of people. So if you could collaborate with anyone here, who would that be?
Anyone at Transact?
Yeah.
That's a great question. There's someone that I really admire. I just admire what she has done in the payment space and how she thinks.
Yeah.
I think she models what I just described, which is knowing yourself and being curious, not getting stale or comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's Jen Reichenbacher of Stacks.
Hey, shout out.
Yeah, I mean, she's awesome and made time to have a coffee chat with me when I was freshly launched into involuntary sabbatical mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that she knows what that 30 minutes led to.
Yeah.
But that was a pivotal conversation, and I have a lot of respect for her as a person and as a payments professional.
That's great. I love that. Well, thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. Let's cheers.
Cheers with my water.
Yes, that's okay.